All right, what's going on, everybody? It's Carl here, and today we're back for another video. And as you can see behind me, we have the Ford Focus, and it's got tranny problems. Backstory is, this was at a mechanic. They diagnosed and said that it was indeed the transmission and not the transmission control module. So we went out and got a used transmission, and now it's time to put it in. So right there is the used transmission. We got it from Abco in Fridley, Minnesota. And they had a bunch of them. This was the cheapest one that they had with low miles. They pretty much sell them all for like $800 and then a $200 core charge. And this one had 77,000 miles on it. So that's why we went and got it. And by looking at the pictures of the car it came out of, it was at the junkyard because it was pretty much a total loss and not because of mechanical issues. So this car right here, this has over 140,000. So a newer tranny with less miles will definitely help it out. So I was watching a video and the guy was pretty much saying, you know, you take out the battery box, take out the air box, and then you can take off the intake manifold, and then the starter comes out, and then you should be able to get to, or take the starter off, then you should be able to get to the nuts that bolt the engine to the clutch, which would be on these little studs right here. And then you're pretty much set to do the bell housing bolts. I guess you got to take, I want to say it's both axles you got to take off, which isn't bad. And then you pretty much got a couple tranny mounts and you're like good to go. So I think the point of this video is we're just going to get it all, we're going to get it all tore down and see what we can do from there. So I just got it on these, my wheel stands, and then I got a piece of 4x4 underneath the pinch weld on the front, so we can just have the car off the ground. And this is about as high as I can go. I think from the video, some guy had it on jack stands like this. That's pretty reasonable. I think we may be able to pull out the tranny like that. It may be, we should be able to totally drag the transmission out under that once it drops. Obviously I got my tranny jack there, and that gets up pretty high reach, so we'll use that to lower it and then kind of roll it out. And maybe we may have to jack up the car a little bit just to get that rolled under, or rolled out, but not a big deal. So let's start by taking the easy stuff off first. I'll get a flashlight, and then we can do the air box, get everything out of the way. Obviously I already took the battery out because the battery was dead anyway, so I got it on a battery tender right now. That was like the first thing I did. And let's see how far we get. All right, so I kind of went to town a little bit. We got the battery box out, we got the air box out, and I just got off the intake manifold, took that off. So now everything's kind of out of the way. We have a lot of room to work. And so as you can see, we have access to the top transmission mount. I think the other one's down below, I think down in the back. We have access to the starter now, which is right below the intake manifold. And we're damn near there. I can pretty much almost see every bell housing bolt that we need to take off. And I did have to run out to Harbor Freight. I didn't have any 32 millimeter sockets, so I went and bought one for the axle nut, which that works perfect. So now I can zap that off. We got to take off the lower ball joint there so we can move around the kind of the strut assembly and everything, and so we can just get that axle out. But we're right there. So I think next I am going to go after the starter. So now that I got the starter out, and it was pretty easy, it's just two studs that bolt the starter to the transmission. But once you have the starter out, you take that little rubber kind of fill thing off. All it is just kind of goes around the starter. But you take that off, and then you have access to these clutch nuts that are down here, and there's 6 of them. And you should be it should be easy to move the flywheel with the pry bar. You know, take each one off at a time, keep moving it till you got all 6, and then you're good to go. We are underneath the car, so I took the 2 axle nuts off, and then now I got both axles out. And I tell you, there is kind of a trick to getting these axles out. First, you have to separate the ball joint from the knuckle, which is a big pain in the rear. And why I'm saying that, let me put the flashlight down here so we can, why I'm saying that is because these ball joints are a little different, where they're not like your tapered ball joints, right? There's a groove in here, and that's where the bolt goes in sideways to lock in the ball joint. So when you're trying to pry this out of the knuckle, it gets stuck, it gets stuck in the groove inside the knuckle here. So what you got to do is, as you're prying, you got to kind of like just kick the caliper just to shake it, and then hopefully it'll pop for you. But I tell you, getting those axle nuts off were my impact took a beating, and it looks like I'm probably gonna have to replace the axles because the threads got really chewed up taking that nut off. As you can see, I mean, they look pretty worn down. I mean, like I said, those axle nuts were really tight. But anyways, the axles are out. So really the next step now is, there's a few other things we got to do. We got to take off the shift linkage. There's a ground wire that goes to the transmission underneath, and then really it's bell housing bolts and tranny mounts, and that's it. Okay, so I made some progress. I got the ground cable off the front of the transmission there. Pretty easy, 13 millimeter nut. Take that off, and then there's going to be it's also a bell housing bolt, which is a stud that the ground cable goes to. So take that bolt out, and you'll see the other bell housing bolts. There's like four of them underneath, and then you can get to 5 from underneath, and then you got 3 up top. Next, you do the shift cable. Just pop it off the lever, and then do there's a bracket that has 2 10 millimeter bolts, and they bolt right there, like right there. Take those out, get the shift cable out of the way, because you don't want to destroy it by any means when the tranny's starting to come out. And then next, there is one, if you can see it here. I already kind of broke it, but you can see this little tabby down here, right here. Ugh, I know, blinding if it focuses, but anyways, that's on the side of the transmission. Just take it out. I broke it, so I'll have to figure out a zip tie Christmas tree thing. Figure that out later. And then the last thing you're gonna have to do, once you get the 3 bell housing bolts up top, which aren't that hard, the one farther back is a little trickier. I found just using this combination. So that's like a 2-inch or whatever extension, or 3-inch, I don't know, with short 13, and then get yourself, go to like Northern Tool or Harbor Freight, get yourself a flex head ratchet, and you'll get the perfect angle. Pretty easy to do, right? And then on the side, there's 2 electrical connectors, right? One's for the tranny harness, the other one is for the body that goes to the control module for the whole car, right? You don't have to take off the transmission one, but it's a lot easier if you get that plug out of the way, and then you'll have more room to work around to get that plug out. And believe me, there's going to be dirt in there, and it's not going to want to come off. So you're going to have to use some screwdrivers and kind of wiggle the plug around to loosen the pretty much dried dirt that's stuck in there. Poor design. They should have never have done this. I mean, I broke the tranny harness plug. I mean, it would plug back in and stay locked, but I'm telling you, it was a pain to get that out. So we got that unplugged, and I'll pull the actual plug that matters out of the way. And then now, really, I got the engine supported with a jack, 4x4. So now, really, it's time to go underneath. We'll do the first transmission mount underneath, and then we'll do the one on top, but we'll have the tranny jack ready to go, and it should just fall right out. So let's see how how this goes. And just like that, we got the transmission out. Really didn't take long. I did have to figure out why it wasn't coming out initially, and of course I missed one bell housing bolt, and this one is probably one that a lot of people miss. So you'll see this one is up by the exhaust right here, right? Well, there's one right above it, and that's the dowel pin on the motor, and then the bolt goes through. And trust me, you can't see it unless you start lowering the mounts and everything, and then it kind of, you know, shows itself. So there is 9 total. So once you get all 9, you should be good to go, and it separates pretty easily. So, and the trick is literally like the video I watched is when you can't really kind of just get it off and down. You have to kind of just let it drop on its own. It really is the best way to describe it. But it's out, and looking at it, I don't really know much about these transmissions or anything, but on the new one, you know, you spin it around, right? You know, everything spins together, right? Well, on the old transmission that came out of the car, I can spin the center without the outside. So like I said, I don't know much about these, so maybe that is the actual issue after all. You know, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know, and I'm gonna have to do some research. But for right now, it is out, and this is a big step forward, so I'm pretty happy about this. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.